Music happening in the city and great theater happening in the city all the time. We're going to tell you about the Phoenix Players production of The Diary of Anne Frank. Here joining us we have Hélène Claire O'Gallagher. She's the president of the Phoenix Players Theater Company. Welcome to the show. Great to have you here. We also have Marie-Pier Jean, who's playing the role of Anne. Welcome to the show, Marie-Pier. And Hélène Claire, let's talk a little bit about the Phoenix Players. You've been around a long time and an incredible amount of experience within the theater company, isn't
Yes, I don't know. If you count up just the people on the board, we're about 11 people on the board, and amongst us we have over 300 years of experience.
So that's a lot of theater
That's a lot of
experience
theater
over the years.
yes.
What is your mission at Phoenix Players?
Well, we have we're for entertainment,
Right?
And it's also participation. You know, the people who participate as audience and as players and doing all the backstage work, they're doing a great service, let's say, for the community, because they put in hours and hours of volunteer time to bring really accessible theater to everybody. Lots of youngsters get their start there. They get the thrill of performing, and sometimes they go on to be really good audience members of big companies, and they also get to be performers in big companies. It's a wonderful world to explore for anybody. You can get inside the character of a role that you're playing and investigate all those feelings and all those experiences that you wouldn't otherwise have a chance to have.
Yeah.
And even if you don't get to perform, working backstage, it's such a big commitment, and so much depends on you.
Well, yeah, those roles are just as important as the roles that
yeah,
you know the audience members see. You know, the stars of the show, like Marie-Pier here. And this is a book I think you and I grew up. We both read it. I can't imagine there's anyone out there that hasn't read it. But for yourself, how would you describe your role? You're playing the role of Anne. How would you describe her character?
I've always thought of her as very strong and heroic. I mean, as a typical teenager, I don't think I could ever live for almost 3 years in the same small, crammed space with the same people. So I definitely think she's a very strong person. And the thing that some people don't realize sometimes is that she was a very ordinary teenager. She just got put in a very difficult situation. And you know what I mean by an ordinary teenager is that she had troubles with her parents. She did have a lot of fights with her mother. We see that in the show. And she fell in love. She likes friends. She liked boys. She was a very typical teenager and just got put in an extraordinary situation.
Right.
And would you say it's more than just a sad story? You see beyond that, and I think that's what's really interesting is what you've done with this. Is that, like, how was the research? Did you have to read a lot about this, ask people? Tell me about this.
Yeah, we did do a lot of research for the show. The whole cast was very into it. We had a guest come speak to us. She was a survivor of the Holocaust, and it was super interesting. She brought pictures, she brought books, she brought the Star of David, little patches that they had. It was really awesome to get to talk to her. We read the diary, all of us. I saw different versions of the movie. I saw about 3 versions of the movie to really try to see how different people did the role. And we did a lot of research online, of course, on the Holocaust. And I was lucky because now I'm in grade 10, and in grade 10 history we actually study the Holocaust.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I got to do a project on Anne Frank, so I actually got to learn even more from that.
Would you consider yourself fortunate for living in a generation where people are still alive from the Holocaust, and they can speak about it and tell us firsthand the experience, and it's a raw moment? How was that for you? That must have been so...
It was very, very interesting. I mean, it was 3 hours of just listening to her and really be into what she was saying and really learning a lot from that, not only about the story itself and about what she's gone through, but also about how strong a woman she is, and how all of them were so strong for just going through that. And I mean, it was so interesting to hear her talk about her personal experiences.
Yeah, I can imagine. And Hélène Claire, how do you capture the symbolism and, you know, what is the set and the lighting, and so how do you capture the atmosphere of this story?
There's a design team, and they get together with the director, and it started way back when they read the book and decided how they would integrate all the aspects of this play and put it on the scene in front of an audience. So you have a set designer, and she worked on it, and there are symbols in the set that represent oppression, that represent the candelabra, what's
The menorah.
The menorah. There are symbols throughout the set, so that it creates an impression. You create the impression of, that there's a weight over this family.
The isolation as well.
Yes, and they're isolated, and this is carried out by the lighting is produced to carry that atmosphere through.
And help bring, I guess, that emotion of what the characters are portraying. Everything works in combination.
Yeah, it would evoke so much.
Marie-Pier, where is it playing, and what's the run?
It's at the Gladstone Theatre from April 10th to the 19th, and I believe we have matinees on the 13th and the 19th.
Okay.
So, and no show on the 14th.
Okay.
Can people call to get tickets, or how does it work?
Yes, they can call 613-233-4523. They can go to the Gladstone Theatre box office, or they can go to www.phoenixplayers.ca. You can get your tickets online, and this show is selling well. I suggest that people...
I really want to go.
Get your tickets.
Get your tickets then, sooner rather than later. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. Don't go away, because we're talking about another art form.